doing now, and then I'll bring it back to a degree, kind of how I got here. But I currently run two different Amazon private label brands. The first one was the main brand. I started when I was still working in 9 to 5. I'll get to that in 1 second. And then the newer brand was started this year and is just kind of getting going, but it's up, selling, launching a couple more products, but before the end of this year. So I currently run two brands, and then I connected via social media, via Twitter, honestly, with another guy. He goes by the FBA investor on social media. His name's Ryan. And quickly, he became my business partner. This was about a year and a half ago, because we were both sharing our Amazon private label journey. We both at that point, I don't know if I had a course yet, but we were both clearly giving free game on Twitter, producing courses, kind of getting into the mentorship type of business as well. So we connected and created FBA University is our entire business. And then we have a couple different offerings underneath. We have a private Discord that's really for intro level people. We have education on private label. So private labels is creating your own brand, reselling via online arbitrage and wholesale. And then we produce leads daily for resellers. So if you really don't have a ton of capital, two, a ton of time, is kind of like the lowest barrier to entry to get into Amazon. So we help get people started. And then more recently, in June of this year, we created the accelerator program. And so through just our network and kind of more and more people wanting to get into private label, we created a 12-month coaching program, essentially guiding people from, most people are at zero, but some are already selling on Amazon. We guide them all the way through how to create a business, find products, source products, create listings, launch, market, scale products for an entire 12 months. And so going all the way back, I started the private label business when I was working as a CPA, when I was working as an accountant. And so it really took March 2020 and remote work for me to get my ass moving in terms of committing to this business and wanting to get out, just because all of the perks of the corporate life, more so just being around people a lot, and being able to travel, go to happy hours, X, Y, and Z were gone. And then you have to realize what you're doing. So I started the business back then. And so it's been really like about 2.5 years since I started selling on Amazon, all the way till now. Still in the same city, but a lot has changed.
When you were, so I want to speak to folks who are in that position now, where maybe they're working a job, not super happy. Sometimes it happens, it's normal, right?
Yeah.
And it's remote, and then you get to thinking, okay, I've heard about selling on Amazon. What was your thought process? What really, what made you take action at that point? Whereas you could have several months from then, you could have earlier. What was the thought process there?
Yeah, luckily I had a little bit of online business experience. So in 2017, started an SEO lead generation business. Basically, when I moved out of my hometown after going to school in Seattle, where I grew up, I knew, I was like, I can't work a corporate job. So I kind of dipped my toe into that world all the way back in late 2017, early 2018.
Yep.
And that business is still running today. It just realistically, there wasn't enough pain at that time. But what drove me was really just having to understand I was going to be working until I did something. I didn't want to go back to college. I had this. It really helped making a little bit of side hustle money via the lead generation business, because I knew it was real, right? You always kind of wonder when you're just more in a traditional path, you kind of, or at least I'll just speak for myself, you wonder, you see all this stuff, especially on social media, and you're like, I don't know what's real and what's not. So I knew at least making money wasn't that difficult to do if you were focused. And so there was actually someone I grew up with who had a lot of success with Amazon FBA. And so I knew I didn't want to double down on the business I was doing because I just don't really enjoy it that much. And so this was the path I chose. I probably consumed, like 40, 50 hours of YouTube, and then just started pounding the pavement. And so I would just say the pandemic really is what spurred it, because I was alone in a room, and it was CPAs, accountants in the winter work a lot more than other seasons. So I was working an abundance of hours while just not enjoying it. And so that's kind of really what pushed me.
Did you find that you were after was it the business model specifically? Did you have a product that you wanted to sell at that time, or what was the idea?
No. It wasn't that I had a product specifically, but I wanted something where I could learn a bunch of skills that would basically translate all across the online world. So I knew, just from SEO experience, I knew that to run an e-commerce brand, you need SEO, you need marketing, like paid ads, you need to understand copywriting, you need to set up production lines, maintain supplier relationships, and logistically. So I'm like, I want to pick one. I think I saw a lot of people at least claim they were making a ton of money. And so it seemed simpler to me than like, it's just traditional retail. And so it made sense to me. And I was like, okay, this is a business I understand. It's not a complicated business model. I want to try to do this because I'm going to learn a lot. And I also know that it just feels more real than, let's say, an email marketing agency or something like that, where you're like, I don't know what is going on here. And so it felt closer. Well, it felt more tangible than other options.
Yeah, it's real stuff, right? People are never going to stop buying real physical stuff. And so, okay, so COVID's the impetus. The business model has clear unit economics to it, and even it helps that you had some prior entrepreneurial experience. You saw some people who are having success with FBA already. Then what? Because so many people have thoughts of doing this, but I think it's you got a certain percentage will take the jump, but it's not everybody.
Yeah. Are you asking about when I quit, or what happened when I launched my business?
Yeah, I guess like from going from knowing that you have this business model in mind and it makes sense to you, is the next step to, like, are you then looking at potential candidates for products? Are you looking at suppliers? What's your thought there?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's essentially, before you even technically start a business, you're doing product research, because that's going to take a while to understand. And so I basically consumed enough content where I understood the business model and clearly understood I need to figure out how to find what product number one would be before I even worry about a lot of other stuff. So I just dove into product research. And I think I did like 4 weeks of product research and was just owning the craft. I kept just not feeling like the product, like I just didn't want to rush it. So I would find something. Luckily, being a CPA, it's a data analysis process, product research. So as long as you have tools, and at that time I was using Jungle Scout. Now I use Helium 10, but it wasn't overwhelming data. It was just getting comfortable with it because I was in Excel massive data sheets all day. So luckily that did help. But no, it was just weeks of, all right, I'm doing this. I'm very committed because I have to get out of this job. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure product number one is a banger. And, you know, I think I got product number one. I launched it. So I started the business I started product research in March, really as soon as the pandemic hit. May 26th or something was my first sale.
Nice.
And then it was slow the first couple of months. Like I think June, I probably did like 2,000 in total sales. July was really, you know, like 6,000 or 7,000. And I was just like, okay. And luckily I was sending air shipments, just, I don't know why. At that point, I was just in a rush. In August, I did like 38,000 with that one product.
Yeah.
And so, and then I went, obviously, I like ran out of stock and all this after, but that was enough where I went all in and launched a bunch of products right afterward and had seen enough where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. And I'm already making money. Like I'm going in. And so that was essentially what I'm sure it was a little bit of dumb luck at the start, but it gave me that dopamine hit where I was like, okay, this is it's working. So let's lean in.
What do you think a lot of people get wrong about Amazon product research? One thing that's always bothered me about product research is it's the most important decision you could possibly make when you're like the least experienced. When it's your first product.
Yeah.
It's you know, what do you think people get wrong about it?
Yeah, it's tough. Like just to answer the last part, and then I'll come back. It's tough. Like when coaching people, you don't get to like warm up in the business. You just have to be like, okay,
yeah,
use all this new software you've never seen to understand what product you're going to find. It's hard for, especially if people aren't in large data sets a lot. But let's see. I think people get wrong. Obviously, like the easiest thing to do in product research, you get access to the sales numbers, and the sales numbers, they're just not that applicable to you because you don't know how they're getting it. So unless you get to the underlying data, aka understand what keywords they're ranking for and what's actually driving their sales, you can't even validate that those sales are coming from on Amazon searches and not external traffic or something. Because if we're talking, let's talk Nike, for example. Nike probably makes, I have no idea what they make, but they probably sell like 40 million on Amazon every year, probably more, but let's just use that. They're sending traffic to Amazon just to ensure their ranking's good. You and I, if we looked at their listing, we're like, oh, we got to sell this apparel thing and we'll sell like Nike. It's like, no, there's no demand that shows that. So actually understanding keyword demand and then understanding how difficult, like how to determine how the sales needed to get to page one is actually product research. Revenue doesn't really do, like, I don't really look at revenue that much other than using it as a filter to really even introduce me to products. So it's people just launch products based on revenue. That's 1000% the biggest issue, and it happens all the time.
So if it's not revenue, and I totally agree, that's not an accurate picture of how well you could do.
Yeah.
They're also looking at page one rankings a lot of the time, right? Which is, you know, you're not going to be on page one initially, perhaps. What are some numbers that you look at now when you're launching products with some hindsight?
Yeah. So what I look at now is, so keyword, it's basically all based on my primary keywords. So a lot, you know, there's variation in people's strategy, but what I use is when you're launching a product, what you need to know is your top 10 to 15 primary keywords. These keywords basically drive all the start of your product, that you're going to integrate them throughout your listing enough times used where the algorithm knows, set up the launch with them, set up initial marketing with them. So that's essentially understanding how to get to your top 10 to 15 keywords is your like customer base. And so you want to make sure though that top 10 to 15 keywords, those primary keywords have at least, I don't do anything less than 50,000 in aggregated search volume. And then through Helium 10, I'm able to see a number called CPR. And what CPR is on each keyword, let's say one has 10,000 searches per month. CPR shows, all right, how many sales over a period of time are needed to get to page one. And if we can agree that almost all sales happen on page one, your entire strategy needs to be what's in high demand with lower competition, aka I can actually get to page one without having to make thousands of sales, because you're not going to be able to do that without reviews. So using these data points of demand and then supply, which is competition, to understand, okay, well, if something's in high demand but it's super crowded and you need 500 sales each week on keywords to get to page one, you will never get to page one and you will never be profitable on that product. So yeah, just understanding these data points and how they work together.
Do you recommend when people are starting out, do you want them to go after, is there such a thing as launching a product that's too demand heavy, it's too competitive, especially as your first one?
Yeah, I would always, especially at the start of your brand, lower search volume, lower competition is way better than higher search volume, higher competition, because people they over assume what search volume is needed to like blow up. If you're on page one for a couple keywords that are like 2,000 to 5,000, you can make an absolute killing just with a couple keywords. So you don't need these huge keywords, but you do need to be on page one.
Yeah. That's really okay. Yeah, that's really well put. And is this something that you, in your personal experience, as your product was building up through the spring and summer, did you just you happened to get that right, I imagine, with that first product that was climbing up slowly?
Yeah. So I mean, that one, I reverse engineered that after I think I was at product 5, because I would say I had 2 out of 4 complete misses on the next products because I didn't really know what I was doing. So yeah, that one was just at the start of a trend that I got there early enough where I'm still selling the first product, but it was just, yeah, there was incredibly high demand. It was preceded by a social media viral, kind of a couple viral videos, and then it was a new market, and I had just found it within the first few weeks. So it was long before. Now it's not as good of a market because there's been Chinese price gouging to a degree, which can happen in trendy markets. But yeah, I would say I was really I really looked hard at it and everything made sense. And then I got lucky as well, just in terms of being at the start end of a trend and not, a few months later would have been tough to rank because it would have been more competitive.
Is there anything you do differently with hindsight with that launch, or sort of as you launch more products, stuff that you're kind of learning as you go?
Yeah, Amazon now, when I first started, you could do things like rebates and you could kind of manufacture a really good launch. And so now you have to be a lot more technical, and you need a good SEO strategy in terms of your listing has to be like really, really well written. And then external traffic is what now can kind of set you apart. Sending, I usually do Google ads because it's just the easiest thing, and it doesn't really cost anything other than the actual ad. And so sending just a little bit of traffic from other websites really helps your launch. But yeah, there's not any, until rebates were banned, rebates were like a cheat code almost, because you can get people to specifically search the keywords you're looking for by, search, find, buy type reviews. You would get a review, you would get a purchase, your ranking would like monumentally increase over like a week, but you can't do that anymore. And so you just have to be better. Everything has to be aligned to your keywords. And then you have to, if something's not working, you have to try something quickly.
And are you still holding that same sort of core group of, you said roughly 10 to 15 keywords per product? And that's really, so that's your point of focus for both external traffic and maybe you're running some Amazon PPC as well?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Always launching with PPC, but yeah, your Google ads, say you have 10 keywords, you're definitely targeting them in your listing, and then on a couple of your manual PPC campaigns, you'll be targeting them as well. And then if you were to set up a Google ad, you'd want to target those keywords as well. And then that just helps Amazon. Like Amazon, you're basically doing their marketing for them, because at this point it's hard. Bringing outside traffic, Amazon loves so much, because hypothetically you could convert someone who wasn't on Amazon to an Amazon customer. So yeah, but you would definitely want to target the same keywords, like keep it all aligned.
Mm-hmm. So all of those 10 to 15 are in the listing. You're also aligned with it through paid ads and reviews. Any thoughts on that? It's kind of like the rebates thing. It's not as easy as it used to be, but
yeah, I mean, you definitely should have, especially if you have people reviewing your product who you know are going to buy it, which is gray area, but I definitely will play in a little bit of the gray area, not like rebates, but getting reviews there early. It would be hard to not help do that. On what you're saying in terms of having people write keywords in reviews, yeah, you should definitely do that, but I don't think it helps anymore.
And so how much emphasis would you put on, as you noticed a shift in importance from external traffic? I guess, when did you start noticing this shift, and do you think it's likely to continue into the future?
Yeah, I think it's slowly become more and more important as Amazon's Prime members grow higher and higher. It's harder for them to get new customers, so they're incentivizing their sellers to do it for them. And then it really helped when rebates were banned, because that technically was external. Well, it wasn't technically external traffic, but some people were sending links from these rebate sites. So once those were gone, it was a lot more clear if you were sending external traffic to Amazon. It wasn't like a sketchy site. It was it was ad, which Amazon wants. So yeah, I would say in the last 6 months, it's really been different.
Yeah. And so when you, okay. And how do you think about, I guess, really scaling out one of these businesses? Is it really, do you think about it as launching a product at a time? Are you thinking in terms of, doubling down on current products, the ones that win? How do you think about like scaling?
Yeah, there's always the two side, right? Like some people are super brand focused and will scoff at anyone who goes cross niche, because you got to build a brand. And then there's other people who just say sell anything, and if your brand looks like a claw machine from an arcade, like more power to you, because you're getting the best products. And it just depends. I think the latter, that is more right, to be honest, because I don't think in terms of what aggregators buy, I don't brand value, and it's very difficult right now to build a brand. And so if you have a brand, an Amazon brand right now, that's at least somewhat niche focused. So you're not selling like one toy, one baby product, one pet, one, like that will be just tough to manage, and just be a little bit of a red flag. But if you are somewhat within, 2, 3 niches, it's better to have high margin evergreen products, because after all, what you're doing is setting up yourself or setting up someone to buy with more of a long-term focus, rather than, let's say you were super niche focused and you had 5 products all square within a niche. That's great, and it's very aligned and it makes sense from a traditional branding perspective. But what if that niche, what if there's a technological innovation and that niche is completely defunct? That's much more of a risk than being a little spread out. So I say sell, launch what sells, especially in your first couple products, and then niche around it, rather than think because you opened up a brand Instagram that all of a sudden you have a brand. And you should do those things, right? But it's a lot harder to build a brand, especially when people make a purchase and just think, I bought it from Amazon anyway, a lot of times, than it is. You should focus on launching the right products, and never launch a product just because you think it would fit in your brand that doesn't check that you wouldn't launch independently, because then it's not going to go well.
Right. Just got to have like standalone power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Exactly.
How much of your time when you're operating these businesses is spent just running the business versus assessing like new product opportunities at this point? Because you guys have got to a certain amount of size and scale where it's, you find you're spending a lot of time in the business versus new product launches, or where's the time spent?
Yeah, I mean, the time spent in running a private label business that isn't at the creation stage is really, it's marketing. But my main brand, the marketing, is outsourced to a team I work with. So a lot of it is managing inventory, managing just looking and ensuring the marketing is going as planned, and then launching new products. So I would say it's much more focused on growth, potentially other Amazon channels, more cross-channel, although that effort's not always well spent. But it's much more on launching products than seeing how what's in stock could grow, rather than, like, operationally it's a very clean business, so it doesn't take that much to run one.
How have you found is a good way to track and sort of stay in stock?
Yeah, I mean, you should use an inventory management tool. So I use Helium 10's inventory management tool. Helium 10 basically is all in one. I'm not paid by them, but should be. And so they basically have an inventory management tool that's cool, because not only that, like, if you have 300 in stock, it takes into account your sales velocity and forecasts implied velocity into the future. So it is about as accurate as it could be, with it still being a guess. And so honestly, it's super easy. I just get alerts when it's reorder size, and there's not too, other than negligence, there's not too much that could go wrong.
Right. And so now, because I know that you have the 2 businesses up and running, which is a testament to just how successful you've been on the platform. In addition, I know you're taking on some folks for coaching. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So we run, it's called Accelerator 2.0 program, and it's a 12-month private label coaching program. So essentially we take people, most people are from step 0, which they've heard about Amazon, haven't really done anything. And we guide them all the way through how to, hit the ground running, how to structure your business from a tax perspective to be the most advantageous, boom, and then right into product research. So how to use the tools to spot really what I was talking about, to use software to comprehensively understand where there's gaps in the market, where there's high demand, undersupply. You get to page 1. Then honestly, we go step by step, how help them find the right supplier, set up a production line, create the listing, and launch. And so it's really nice because we used to do a 3-month coaching program, and people would get their product, launch, and usually do well right after launch, and then we would just be gone. And that it's a lot different to scale a product than it is to launch. So we extended it to say, okay, we want to be with you until hypothetically this could be your primary income source, because I quit my job within the first year from when I decided, and so I know it can happen. It's not it really, if done right, and you do have to invest in products, but if done right, this business can blow up quickly. So we essentially just guide people through the process and say, we offer a lot of access, in terms of Zoom calls. We have a private Slack. We have a 14-hour step-by-step private label course, which is just basically a playbook. We have a referral network of, okay, for this type of product, we have photographers and videographers you should use here. And so it's basically your first year, you don't have to make any mistakes. You don't have to make any of the simple beginner mistakes, because we're here to kind of spearhead it for you. So it's been great, man. We have over 30 people in it right now. And yeah, looking, a lot of students, at least from our previous mentorship, launched and scaling their business. Yeah, we're excited for Q4 because I haven't really mentored or coached others during a Q4, so should be fun.
Yeah, this is our time of year. This is our Super Bowl, so it's going to be really cool. And yeah, where can people find it, and your socials and all that? We'll wrap this thing.
Yeah, of course. So on Twitter is really where I've built social media and connected with a partner. It is at WishZen. So WISHZEN. My name is Michael Wishko. It's a play on my last name. Anyway, Twitter, WishZen, clean. Instagram at WishZen _, and then YouTube. We run the Amazon FBA University channel, so check us out there. I'll shoot, if Pat puts show notes, I'll shoot those links so people can find me. Hopefully it's not too hard to find me.
Thanks, Mike. Really good stuff. Thanks for walking us through everything, your story, and congrats on all the success to this point.
Yeah, bro, you're gonna kill it. You're great.